So we look at this. For plant, special. When plant carry out photosynthesis at the same time, they also will use up the photosynthetic product because of the respiration. Okay, so what is the aim of the photosynthesis? The aim of the photosynthesis is to generate the glucose, for example. But respiration break down the glucose. So this is very, very important because if the rate of the respiration equal to the rate of photosynthesis, basically the plant won't have the net gains in terms of the product. Correct? So it means that photosynthesis produce one glucose, glucose will be used up for the respiration. Are you clear? Okay. So we're going to look at this. There is a stage when all CO2 released during the plant respiration will be used up in the photosynthesis. Or in other words, say that's the product of the photosynthesis will be used in respiration. So it means that the plants will reach an equilibrium between CO2 release and CO2 consumption. CO2 release due to the respiration, CO2 consumptions due to the photosynthesis. And we say that now the plant reach its compensation point. Are you clear? Compensation point. So at compensation point, there's no net gain, no net gains of the photosynthetic product. For us, against nothing, but for farmer, it's everything. Are you clear? You try to imagine that I use fertilizer, I grow the plant for a few years, at the end, I didn't get any product. Why? Because we always have the plant in this compensation point. So what is compensation point? Compensation point actually depends on the level of the light intensity. Because when talk about compensation point, actually is the level of the light intensity at which the rate of CO2 produced during respiration equal to the rate of CO2 absorbed during photosynthesis, and there's no net gain or loss in the photosynthetic product. Are you clear? So you look at the graph now. So we can see that the first part, increase of the CO2 concentration or uptake, sorry. So this is due to what? CO2 uptake during, right now, photosynthesis. Okay, increase CO2 uptake for photosynthesis. And bottom part, increase CO2 evolutions of release. This is due to the respiration. Are you clear? Okay. So now at a particular point, you can see that. So what happened here is, if at this particular point, you can see that when my graph cut at this particular point, this point is a compensation. It's a particular light intensity. It's a particular light intensity that results in the equilibrium between the respirations and photosynthesis. So if you look at this, below compensation point, what happened? Below compensation point, you can see that the graph actually remained in this region. This region means that there's a net loss of sugar. Means that plants carry out respirations more than photosynthesis. Why? Because the light intensity is too low. When the light intensity is too low, the plants still carry out respiration. The respiration won't depend on the light intensity. Yeah? Respiration never depends on the light intensity. Respiration depends on the temperature. So it means that when the light intensity is low, rate of photosynthesis is low, it's so low until the rate of the respiration is higher than the rate of photosynthesis. So that is a net loss of the photosynthetic product. Are you clear? And next, what will happen at this region? At these regions, you can see that the second regions here is where the light intensity is sufficiently results in the increase of the rate of photosynthesis, and the rate of photosynthesis is higher than the rate of respiration. Correct. That's why we have the net gain in the sugar due to the photosynthesis. Can you see that? So for farmer need to know, or the plantation company the researcher need to know where is the compensation point. If the light intensity supplied to the plant is lower than the compensation point, then they're going to make a loss. Can I see that? So it must be higher than compensation point. But can it be too high? Yes, you can be too high, but at the end, you won't get any further increase. You can see that at third regions here, yeah, rate of photosynthesis is still high, but actually it's a bit wasted. You increase the light density, basically you incur more money, more cost. But do you get any further increase in terms of photosynthesis? After this point, the saturation point here, you can see that no. So the ideal level of the lights will be between these two. I mean, light intensity. But normally we will go to the max somewhere near here. Are you clear? Before the level of. Are you clear? That you can get the high rate of photosynthesis and yet get to save the cost. Okay? That means by compensation point. So always remember the light intensity used is higher than the light intensity of the compensation point. Therefore, the production will exceed the use of photosynthetic products. Then photosynthetic products are stored and give us higher yield. Okay. Now, introduce you guys in these two kind of plants. They are not in the syllabus, number 6 and number 7. But some past year, actually, these two questions, this type of question come out 2 times regarding the sun plants and shade plant. So what do you mean sun plant? Sun plant, basically the plant that actually grow tall and exposed to the light intensity. This kind of plant we call sun plant. Okay, so sun plant, basically they will have more palisade mesophyll because they need to optimize the absorptions of the light's energy. But the thing here is, when you have more mesophyll cells, means that you need more ATP. Are you clear? So in order to do this, they must have the higher rates of the respiration to synthesize the ATP. So it means that the compensation point will be at high light intensity. Okay, the compensation point. Are you clear? Clear? So the plant that adapted for the low light intensity, such as the deep forest, for those plants, for those plants actually they are not tall, that means they're exposed to a very low light intensity, those plants is known as the shade plant. So shade plant, they don't grow very big, they live very small. Are you clear? So it means that they do not need to have so many mesophyll cells. Why? Because give them so many mesophyll cells also useless because limited light intensity. Are you clear? So it means that if they have small number of the mesophyll cells, so they require less ATP. Okay, for the leaf formations and maintenance. So they have very low rates of respirations, means that they can go for the lower compensation point. Okay, so if you look at this graph, please label, guys, please label. This one is for sun leaf or sun plant. This one is for the shade plants, okay, or shaded plant. So you can see that for sun plants, the compensation point actually higher, okay, compared to the shade plant, where the compensation point will be lower. Okay, so with this, I've done for the topics for today. For this, sorry, not for today, for the first hour. Stop recording.